Delegacija je veliko zadovoljstvo da razgovaramo sa jednim, a možemo reći, najuglednijih Srba u Americi, u Sjedinjenim Američkim Državama, to je Alex Mačevski. Nalazimo se u Clevelandu i Alex ima puno razloga zbog kojih možemo praviti ovaj razgovor. On je sada počasni konzul Srbije u Clevelandu, inače penzionisan izdavač Cleveland Plain Dealera, jedna od najpoznatijih novina u Americi, i ima puno kontakata i aktivnosti za Srbije godine. Alex, thank you so much for this conversation. So nice to see you here in Cleveland.
Mnogo hvala, Alex Zikić.
Hvala vama.
Dobro da od vas vidim i opet posle sve ove godine. Uvijek uživam kad mi se sastanemo.
Da, hvala. Je Cleveland vaš, to je vaš grad, da smatram, jer Cleveland vaš...
Ja sam došao u Cleveland u 1960. Onda ja sam tu sada preko...
65 godina skoro.
Je, istino. Ja sam rođen blizu Warren, Ohio, za 1 sat iz Cleveland. Tamo sam rođen, tamo sam počeo, kad sam bio 15 godina star, sam radio za novine za nekoliko godine, onda sam došao do Cleveland i od početak sam bio u, kako se kaže, public service, onda posle to sam radio u circulation i advertising. Nisam bio više reporter kao sam bio u Warren Tribune. I nakon sam radio dok sam stigao da budem publisher u 1990, publisher and CEO. I tako sam ostao do 2006 i sada ja sam za 19 godina retired.
Znači, rođeni ste u Americi, ali ste odrasli kao Srbin i uvek ste se borili za sve vezano za Srbiju.
Ja sam rođen u Ameriku, moj otac i majka su rođeni u Ameriku. Ono što sam naučio od naš jezik, to sam naučio od moje babe. Isto kod crkve u Youngstown, Ohio. Mi smo išli u tu crkvu Holy Trinity i puno pogrešim na gramatiku, nego ipak možem da se smučkam.
Ja mislim da odlično govorite. I kad ste bili izdavač Cleveland Plain Dealera, puno ste se borili da se čuje istina o Srbima 90. godina. Mislim, puno ste se borili da informacija bude, jer tad je bilo puno propagande o Srbiji, pa ste radili o tome da bude istina u medijima.
Kad sam ja bio predsjednik i publisher od Plain Dealer, i ono dana mi smo imali 5.040 subscribers.
540.000 pretplatnika.
Yeah.
To je ogromna brojka u današnje vreme, retko koja novina u Americi.
No, nema ni 10% od to. Nego u ono vreme mi smo imali foreign correspondent Betsy Sullivan. I ona nije samo otišla in the late 90s samo da ide u Holiday Inn, da sjedi sa drugi novinari, samo da među njih da se razgovori. One otišli u Pale i sve, da pronađe istinu. Onda mi smo imali, ja mislim, u ono vrijeme najistino stories što je se dogodilo tamo i nesreća, puno nesreća. Puno je naša država pogrešila tamo i još pogrešio. Nego ipak kako ja sam rođen u Ameriku, ja sam Srbin u srce.
I jedna od stvari, volite da svirate tamburice, recimo, jedna od stvari...
To je počelo kao nešto da lepo kad sam došao u Cleveland da se zabavim, nego posle to, ipak kako sam bio predsjednik od novine, svirati tambure mene pomaglo da ne izgubim pamet. It kept my sanity while I was running the paper, because you have a lot of pressure. In those days, I was starting 7:30 in the morning till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I was on the go 5-6 days a week in the evenings. But playing music helped me to preserve my sanity in running the newspaper.
I kako ste došli na ideju da osnujete srpsku kulturnu baštu u Clevelandu? Ovo je nešto jedinstveno u Americi, da postoji samo ovdje tako nešto.
Nema ništa onako u cijelu svijetu. Ovako.
Celom svijetu, znači tako nešto nema.
There's now, malo ću engleski, sada lakše, we have 40 different nationalities in the gardens. and this is all part of Rockefeller Park. So there's Italian, Indian, Hungarian, all kinds of nationalities. In the 1930s, the Slovenians started a garden. And by the end of the 1930s, they took in Serbians and Croatians and became Yugoslav gardens. And that was the way it left until Yugoslavia fell apart in the late 90s. And when that happened, Serbians and Croatians were out. Slovenians retained that plot of land. And I was still with the plain dealer, and I said, we're going to have our own Serbian garden. So I petitioned to get the land. We have a beautiful strip of land, maybe the length of 3 football fields. And we started. I think our very first bust in the garden was King Peter I, and then Jegoš, and then Tesla, and then after that, every year and a half we would have different one. Michael Pupin, Vuk Karadžić, Mokranac, Maleva Marić, Desanka Maksimović, Nadezhda Petrović. So we have 12 busts in the garden, and more recently we put bronze faces on granite slabs in precast concrete. And so we have Đorđe Šagić, who was the first Serbian immigrant to come to the United States. We have Jovan Cvijić, who was the head of the Serbian Academy of Sciences. And we have our beloved Sveti Nikolai Velimirović and Sveti Justin Popović. Those are the last 4 were just this last August. So now with that and Sveti Sava, we have 17 figures in our garden. So it's one of the nicest gardens in the whole Rockefeller Park.
One of the probably popular ones is Novak Djokovic, also one of the more recent ones.
Yes. Everybody else is dead that's in that garden, but we had an opportunity thanks to Nikola Lončar from Tesla Foundation. He had a bust of Novak Djokovic, and we gladly accepted it, and so he's right there with Nikola Tesla and Maleva Marić. There's Novak Djokovic.
Who are the people who visit the cultural garden?
It's people who are interested in the different ethnic groups. We have like a mosaic of ethnic culture. So once a year, for example, they call One World Day. It's always about the 3rd Sunday in August, and they have a parade of all the different nationalities. And there's anywhere between 40 to 50,000 people that come to the parade and to the gardens, and then they go from garden to garden visiting. So we have a lot of visitors that come to our garden. It's amazing because a couple of years ago we also had the naturalization ceremony for people getting their citizenship at our garden, and at that time we also had a model of a Tesla car in the garden, and we also had a pen of young goats. What do you think attracted the most attention? The goats or the Tesla car?
Tesla car.
No, the goats.
The goat.
No, young kids. Yeah, young kids like the goats. Yeah,
they like the animals.
Yeah. But at any rate, all during the year, people will go there. Even in the winter time, it's nice to take a walk through there. It's very refreshing. And when our Serbian golf outing, which is our main fundraiser for the garden, it's always 2nd Saturday in July. And from that we make the proceeds, and generally it works out that maybe we have enough money from that to put a new bust in the garden not every year, but maybe every year and a half, every 2 years. And so that works out very nicely. And some years we offer the winners of that Serbian golf outing either cash, $500, or to have a dinner for the 4 golfers and their significant others. And so in the past, we've always had a nice dinner at the Serbian garden as well. And we find people that will go down there and make a nice little picnic for them and their families at the garden.
I feel like this is something that Serbs, at least from across America, anywhere, should come and visit this garden in Cleveland. That should really come and see it.
The gardens as a whole have a saying, peace through understanding. That the more you understand different cultures, the more you have a chance for peace. But yes, I think there's nothing like the cultural gardens, and there's nothing like the Serbian garden anywhere in the world.
Is this one of the most things you're proud the most, if not a lot of stuff in your career, but is this something that gives you a lot of pride and joy?
This is very close to my heart, and also for my son, my son Lex. He is so devoted to the garden because he's there virtually every weekend, working on maintenance, planting, weeding, cleaning, doing a lot of things there. In fact, when he knew you were coming, he couldn't do all the walkways. They're pretty long, but he swept the whole plaza so you wouldn't have to go through too much snow.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so nice of you. I really appreciate it. That's great. Is there space for any new?
Yeah, there's a couple of places that I'll show you when we go down there where we could add. Well, we're going to probably go slow for another year before we put another one in.
What does the community in Cleveland say about it, about the garden?
Well, they are very proud of it, and both churches are supportive of it, and so we have a very good relationship. I know when we first started the garden, and I called in the two presidents of the two churches in Cleveland and the two Serbian priests. I says, listen, I'm Serbian, so I know how things can come. Sometimes it's harder to bring samo sloga Srbina spasivo, and then you bring unity. But let me tell you, we will have a nice garden. That I promise you. But the first time I hear any, kind of discouraging words from anybody, you won't have a garden. So hvala Bogu, we've had no problems. Everybody gets along. Everybody's proud of the garden. We're very proud of it.
And I'd like to congratulate you. Recently, you got a major award from Studenica Foundation in Beograd, philanthropy award that was issued at the big celebration in Beograd and handed to you at another celebration very recently here in Cleveland.
It was unfortunately because I had been to Serbia earlier this past summer in late July and August. I couldn't go back for the gala on November 28th because I had some conflicts. So they agreed to send the award here, and somebody would come and present it from Studenica Foundation. And so they actually came and did it on my slava, Sveti Ignatia, on January 2nd. So we had about 60 people at the Serbian Orthodox Cathedral in Parma, and it was a beautiful evening. We had our slava blessing of the Kolac and Koljevo, and then after the dinner, Veselin Seljočka did the presentation on behalf of Studenica Foundation. I was absolutely amazed to get this award. When I was first informed by Slavka Draskovic and Dušica Protic that they had selected me for the award, I said, why me? There are so many more people around the world much more deserving than me for this award. They said, no, we want you to have this award. And I really humbly accepted it, but part of it is because I really respect the work the Studenica Foundation is doing to make scholarships for all these wonderful students, and also because the award is named after Michael Djordjevic, who was a very close friend, and I had a lot of love and respect for the values that Michael Djordjevic represented. A wonderful human being. So he left a great legacy through the Studenica Foundation.
What do you think about the significance of philanthropy in this day and age?
Well, I can only speak about philanthropy from my own personal experience. God has been very good to me, and I'm a firm believer that what God has given you in so many ways, you have an obligation to give back to others, whether it's individuals or organizations or whatever. I remember there was a saying, if I have it correctly, nemoj da dadeš više što trebaš for your body, za tvoje tijelo, I nego daj više za tvoju dušu. Don't give more than what you need for your body, but give more than you can for your soul.
Sort of invest more in your soul than your outer body.
Exactly, for material things. So that's kind of stuck with me, you know, that And you know, fortunately we're in a position that we can help a lot of different organizations, particularly with our churches, our monasteries, and different organizations.
And what do you think about the Serbian community in Cleveland? It's been here since 1960. Has it changed in any ways?
Well, unfortunately, we had a separation of the churches in the early 60s, but thank God for the late Patriarch Pavlem, whom I had the privilege and honor of meeting several times. And he came to Cleveland, and he unified the two churches, and it's nice to see people getting along again.
You were in Serbia last summer. What were your impressions when you go there?
Well, I think that on the overall, you know, when you look at what is being done with the riverfront now, with money coming in from the Emirates, when you see some of the new shopping malls that are there, like the one, relatively new one on Knez Mihailo. Yes, and you see what's being done with the infrastructure, with the roads and so forth. I think there's an attraction there for investments from China, from the Emirates, and from Israel. But, you know, I think what the Serbian people really crave is stability. They're not so concerned about major conflicts as they are about, you know, can we raise our family and have stability in our lives? And that also means providing employment. A few years ago, I spent a week teaching at the University of Belgrade. And I was totally amazed at these students who were working on their masters. And I would address groups all week of 35, 40 students. And you could tell by their questions how much intelligence they have, how smart they are, and everything. The sad part of it is that there are not being enough jobs created to absorb these young people in Serbia, to keep them in Serbia so they don't go to Italy, to France, England, and other places looking for work. So whatever can be done to create more jobs, I think is good for Serbia and good for the whole Balkan region.
What would be advice to Serbia in terms of dealing with Washington, with America now? New administration in DC, is it really going to change anything regarding Serbia? What would be your main advice if you were to talk to the leadership of Serbia today?
Well, I think the Serbia leadership has to reestablish much closer ties with the diaspora, and that way the diaspora has a lot of power in that they can concentrate on their own elected public officials who represent everybody in Washington. I mean, you know, too often people say, well, yeah, Kosovo was a nice thing, but that's history. It's not history, it's here. It always will be here. So when, you know, one country makes a mistake and does something that sacrifices some area that belonged to the Serbian people, you've got to rectify that. You've got to rectify that. I pray every day for Serbians living in Kosovo because they're threatened, and it's not safe for them. It's not safe for them to go from point A to point B without being attacked. So, but I think it starts with a much better relationship between the government in Serbia and the diaspora, and it's a two-way street. If the government shows that they're supporting and inviting ideas from the diaspora will respond. But if the diaspora doesn't see that the government wants that kind of cooperation over and above just giving money to their relatives over there, then I think the diaspora will respond in a very positive way, and then put pressure on the United States representatives in Congress to pay more attention to Serbia and Serbia's interests.
Sometimes we hear from Beograd that they expect a lot from diaspora, they want diaspora, but you feel like in reality then it doesn't happen as much, that there's something is lost in that connection between Belgrade and diaspora here in America, for example?
I can just give you a simple illustration. There was a time when Serbia had a ministerial post for the diaspora. It knocked it down to a department as part of the foreign ministry, and then it knocked down to an office. You want to do something significant that shows you care about diaspora? Reestablish a ministerial post for the diaspora, and I think you'll awaken what's felt in the hearts of Serbian people in America.
And now Serbia are expecting a lot from administration of President Trump. Do you think a president will change some policies towards Serbia? Is there something long term that doesn't really change as much from president to president?
Well, I would hope that Trump has a fresh view and has more insight as to what is there. I think he's made some favorable comments towards the Serbians in the past, but it also behooves the Serbian leadership to make sure that he's properly informed as to what's going on there. And we'll see. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that not only the President Trump, but also his appointees and also his Vice President, J.D. Vance, who comes from Ohio. I hope that they will listen to the Serbian interests, and we'll see what happens.
So that could be a significant connection. J.D. Vance coming from this state. What's your message to younger people, or people, anybody interested in coming to live in America right now? Should they come? What's it being like an immigrant here? Do you think it's hard? And Serbs have been successful in this country.
No, I think Ohio is growing jobs. Intel is creating a major installation north of Columbus. But if you have technical skills, I think you can find opportunities in Ohio.
And you're honorary consul of Serbia. What do you think about that position? Is there something more that you'd actually like to do as the honorary consul here?
Yeah, well, we have about 40 honorary consuls in Cleveland, and I see what a number of them are capable of doing. Unfortunately, being the honorary consul for the Republic of Serbia, you don't have anything to do with visas. You can't facilitate people who are wondering about their mother or grandfather or whatever in Serbia. They pass away, what happens to the property? You're very limited, basically just to be a role of a cheerleader for Serbia. Well, if you're going to go that route, instead of just having 2 or 3 honorary consuls in the whole United States, then why don't you have 25 or 30 honorary consuls around the United States, and everybody will be a cheerleader? I mean, you have to have an honorary consul that's going to have the ability to do something of substance, because I get inquiries every week. They see me listed as an honorary consul. People call you with problems that they want to have resolved between them and some part of government in Serbia, and I have to refer them to Chicago, to the consulate there, or to Washington, to the embassy. So yeah, I think we could take on more responsibility as honorary consuls, but that's not for me to say. That's for the Serbian government to decide.
And you feel like the image of Serbia is something that still needs to be worked on, that from the 90s was a lot of bad image of Serbia, then some people in America either don't know anything about it, or some still remember they heard some bad news, but those that have been there, they like it, and their friends, they like it, but it's a smaller number of people.
Several Serbian administrations ago, I was in Belgrade with a group of Serbians from around the world, pretty successful people. There were 25 or 30 of us. Not only did we want to see the relationship between diaspora and the Serbian government codified and passed by the government, but because of lack of initiative on that side, a regime changed and the effort died. But at the same time, I remember saying, look, I understand if the Vlada doesn't have the money to correct the image. It's not an easy task, because by actions from this country and elsewhere and their own actions, Serbia in some ways was looked as a pariah around the world. I said, but that image can be changed. I said, so if the government doesn't have the money to do that, I said, the government has what we call in this country jawboning power. You can get the most successful Serbian businessmen from Serbia to come to the table. And we can bring people of means from the diaspora to sit down. And not only can they put in ideas to change the image of Serbia, but also put in money for the effort to change that image. And everybody's, oh, Alex, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. But then there's no follow-up, there's no initiative. So it's one of those missed opportunities. But yes, I think there's a willingness to help Serbia improve its image. But, you know, like they say, God helps those that help themselves. You've got to do it both ways.
Traditionally, you've known well and been friends with Mayor of Cleveland, Governor of Ohio. Is it in part because you were publisher of Cleveland Plain Dealer, so you were the guy to speak to in Ohio?
Yeah.
And you still are.
Well, the older I get and the further removed I am as publisher, the less entree you have. But no, even today, I mean, I'm on good terms with Governor DeWine, and also his lieutenant governor, who was John Husted, who just became now the new senator from Ohio. Good people, and they've always been receptive. But yes, as publisher, I had the opportunity to take delegations from Serbia to meet with the governor or lieutenant governor or the mayor of Cleveland. But you know, when you come to meet with people in this country, you should come prepared. I mean, if you want to say, well, Serbia wants a better relationship with Ohio. And we have a starting point because there's a good relationship with the Ohio National Guard and the Serbian military. Not only on military matters, but on civilian matters, helping to rebuild things. But in other areas, I mean, you've got to have something that when Serbian delegation comes here, they can say to the Ohio government, this is what we would like to do, and this is what we would like to have from you, and this is what we can do for Ohio.
And a new ambassador of Serbia is supposed to come to Dragan Šutanovac. Would you like to meet with him and talk, exchange some ideas?
I would love to meet with him, you know, and I've been around long enough now, and I'm not in the habit of just, you know, mincing my words and just say a lot of nice things. I just tell it istino, the way it is. But sometimes when you go through all these different missed opportunities, then people get, you know, their backside up and they get sensitive to it. Well, you can't do that. You should listen very carefully and learn from those past mistakes, you know. I mean, this is a very small example. Tadic comes to this country and we have a reception for 200 people. Now Tadic is standing next to me here and his communications director is standing next to me. And people are all coming up, greeting Tadic, getting their picture taken. So I said to his communications person, is President Tadic going to make a toast at the private dinner tonight? She said, oh, no, no. I said, is he going to say anything? She said, oh, no, he's not going to speak. So I turned to Tadic and I said, are you going to speak at the dinner tonight? He said, of course I'm going to speak. I said, will you make a toast? Of course I'm going to make a speech. Now here's left hand, right hand, and one doesn't know what the other one is doing. It's that kind of thing that, you know, gives you concern.
Some basics maybe should be worked on. So I think you have a lot of so much to give to Serbia, and hopefully the best times are coming now with the new administration in Washington, new ambassador, and we hope they'll take advantage of your knowledge and talent and connections, which are very important anywhere in the world, in America too, to do great things for Serbia in the next few years.
Like I said, Serbia is in my heart, always has been, always will be. It's an important part of what makes Alex, Alex. And I'm willing to help in any way I can. But with that help comes, you know, honest appraisals and honest feedback. And I just can't say nice things because it's a nice thing to say. I mean, yeah. I can maybe sugarcoat it a little bit and do diplomatic terms, but you have to hear the truth and learn from those mistakes so you can go forward with a more constructive viewpoint.
Otherwise, things won't get better. If you don't point out where some improvement is needed, there won't be any improvement.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for your time and for this conversation. And do you have any other particular message to anybody? Or?
No, I just, first of all, Alex, I want to thank you. It's always nice to get together with you and break bread with you, and welcome you to come and get another look at our Serbian garden. But I just cannot say enough about my love of Serbia and the Serbian people. I don't get back every year, but it's averaged about every other year for the last 20 years. And so I meet a lot of nice people there and have very, very fond memories. Our people are great people. And even post all of the things that happened during the communist regimes, our people they're intelligent, they have a great work ethic, and they have loyalty. But you have to earn their respect. And that's a challenge.
Well, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll talk again soon and talk about some progress done in the meantime.
Look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Želim vam sve najbolje.
Hvala mnogo, Alex. Hvala na svemu.